Hello all, this is James Johnson, aka Sulfurblade, and I am here with a recap of Season 2, Episode 9. In this episode, we start off without a monologue, which is a plus. No boring monologue from Burnham giving her point of view, or Saru, or anyone else for that matter, so that's an improvement. Um, our favorite female admiral returns to Discovery, and she's there to join forces with Discovery against Section 31. The admiral, first thing she does is she goes and questions Spock, and the questioning process was, well, it was fairly well done, up until the point that Burnham decides to needlessly show up at the end and interject her opinion. The Admiral had gotten what she needed from Spock and did so rather coherently, and the need for Burnham to add her 2 cents and tell the Admiral that, in her opinion, Spock is telling the truth really didn't fucking matter whatsoever and was pointless crap that wasn't needed in the episode at all. It's just more interjection of Burnham into the plotline for no reason whatsoever. All it does is anger us and make us more and more sick of Burnham's character. We're tired of her. So after the Admiral is content with her questioning of Spock and believes Spock, she goes and has a debrief with the captain and executive officer alone. Admiral, XO, CO, debriefing about the Admiral's questioning of Spock. Very realistically done. That is the type of thing that would happen in a real military. There was no other junior officers there. It was just a candid conversation between the XOCO and the Admiral about the questioning of Spock and his escape from Section 31 and how these two things don't match. One is not real, but they can't both be true. I thought that was well done because of how it was set. There was no Burnham there. Yay. But then at the end of it, we released the whole premise of the storyline of Star Trek Discovery and this season and what we've been getting at. AI. AI is the big boogeyman, the ultimate evil, the thing that humans have to most fear in science fiction. AI. Because, AI, being the ultimate bad guy, hasn't been used before, ever. But in this case, it's evidently Control. Starfleet AI. The friendly Starfleet AI that was created to help Starfleet Command in its command and control duties. Well, evidently Control has gone off the deep end. And as we can now piece 2 and 2 together, Control is obviously the big bad guy behind everything that's going to happen in the future that is going to destroy all sentient life in the universe. Starfleet's AI, of course, is going to be the ultimate bad guy. Who else? So then we end up on the bridge. The Admiral appears on the bridge, and we get useless Tilly. Tilly rambles stupidly about not being a fugitive to the Admiral. I don't know why they insist on putting crap like this into the show. There's no military in the world that an ensign would ramble incoherently like that to an admiral and get away with it. Not going to happen. B, it's not cute. It's not clever. It's very distracting and very annoying. And I'm sick of seeing stupid Tilly moments like that in this show. But anyway, moving along. Now we end up in Arian's, Commander Arian's quarters. We don't show we've shown up in quarters quite a bit in Star Trek Discovery, to be honest. But usually it's Tilly and or Burnham's quarters. And it's not like there hasn't been precedence to show up in quarters before, like in The Next Generation. But it seems that Star Trek Discovery relies on this quite a bit. And to an extent, I don't mind. I don't mind seeing a sneak peek into the quarters of the character. But they decided to build Commander Ariam's character a little too late. So we are in Commander Ariam's quarters so that we can then go down a walk on memory lane and see how she is the single most appalling violation of canon in Star Trek Discovery. Yes, she's a human. And somehow she becomes a human cybernetic augment, which is in complete violation of Star Trek general orders, mind you. But yet, here she is, a human augment serving in Starfleet. And we know she's human because of our walk down memory lane, showing her to be human and giving us backstory about her, emotional backstory, so that we can feel something for her because, well, a little while later in the episode, we're going to kill her off. You know, we could have set up backstory on her 3 or 4 or 5 episodes earlier when they kept showing us pointless crap. But no, we're going to finally build up the backstory of a character so that we can get a shallow payoff 30 minutes later. Great job, Star Trek Discovery. And of course, Tilly shows up in Ariam's quarters to create a emotional bond between Ariam and Tilly so that we can see how close Tilly and Ariam are, because that again was just another setup for something that was going to happen a little bit later in the episode. It was shallow. It was pointless. It was not well done. And then we leave from this walk down Ariam's memory lane, and now we get to see Spock and Burnham bickering like children while Stamets is trying to get work done. And while I may have liked Spock last episode, I hated most all. Well, I found Spock's questioning by the Admiral fine, but now when we put Spock into a scene with Burnham, Spock goes downhill. And Burnham, well, there is no saving her. She's trash. And this whole scene was just, it was like taking nails and and scratching it down a chalkboard. There was nothing but aggravation and annoyance. It was awful. Finally, Stamets throws them out of mushroom engineering because they're too distracting, and so they go to Burnham's quarters, where Burnham decides that chess is the answer to fix Spock's logic. And Spock, well, he gets angry with Burnham because how dare Burnham challenge his logic? There's obviously nothing wrong with Spock's logic. And then we get into a silly game of chess where Spock is toying with Burnham, trying to ruffle her feathers, and then proceeds to chew Burnham out. And then Burnham chews back, and then Spock just throws a fit and knocks the chessboard over in a fit of rage, because that's what Vulcans do. And granted, Spock is half Vulcan, and he does have feelings and emotions, but that's not the Spock we know. That is Star Trek Discovery Spock. That is 25% different Spock for whatever 25% different fucking Star Trek license Michael Kurtzman is operating on. That was a bunch of bullshit, and it did nothing but disparage Spock's good name, and I didn't fucking appreciate it. And now we fast forward through the episode. Um, we go through a game of Star Trek Discovery doing random patterns through a minefield to get to the Section 31 space station. And, of course, Spock, being completely unpredictable and out of logical pattern of chess, playing erratically, made Burnham then come to the conclusion during this crisis that, of course, the minds are being controlled by AI, and so therefore the AI is thinking ahead, and it's going to expect us to react in certain logical ways, and if we can throw them off by acting illogical, well, then we can get through the minefield based off of Spock's chess thinking earlier that she despised. And so, yes, they managed to get through the minefield by inputting random patterns, evasive patterns. And so each member of the bridge crew got to shout out an evasive pattern for Detmer to lay in and for the ship to carry out without any rhyme or reason, except to save their asses from mines that were trying to destroy them. And, well, was it great sci-fi? No. Was it terrible sci-fi? No. It just was it was. It was like the filler, the lead up to getting to the space station. Did I like it? Enjoy it? Was it amazing? I'm ambivalent about that whole section of the show. It was neither great nor was it terrible. Of course, in the background we had Arian up to no good. Turns out she was downloading all of her memories into the ship so that she could and uploading all of the knowledge of AI gotten from the magical creature that they had met earlier in the season. And her whole mission was to bring all of the AI knowledge gotten from the creature that they met earlier in the season to Control, so that Control could use it to basically take over the world. And that would then lead into the next sequence of Arian, Commander Burnham, and Commander Nan being over on the Section 31 station, and what would then proceed afterwards. Of course, Arian goes off the deep end. She turns into the traitor, goes completely Borg. Nan gets her butt kicked by Arian basically taking out her breathing apparatus, and then goes into a whole scene of she's struggling on the ground trying to get to a breathing apparatus, and that's all we see of her for the rest of that scene. As far as we know, she's laying there dying, or she's dead. Then we go through a fight scene between Arian, the Data-like cyborg with amazing strength and superhuman abilities, as Burnham is somehow, well, Burnham's getting her butt kicked, but she's somehow managing to still fight with this being that is far superior to her in every way, strength, agility, all of that. Because she's Burnham. It was almost like a cheesy remake of the Captain Kirk fighting the Gorn back in the TOS episode, and they even harkened back to where the Gorn had Kirk lifted up in the air, and there was nothing else Kirk could do except the stupid two-handed chop where he hits the Gorn between the neck and the shoulders with both of his fists simultaneously, and somehow that works, and he breaks himself free of the Gorn. Well, that exactly happened in this episode. You had Commander Arian holding Burnham up, and Burnham, the logical human Vulcan, she decides that I'm going to take a page out of Captain Kirk's playbook and hit Ariam with the exact same cheesy two-handed chop that Captain Kirk did. And of course it worked for Kirk, and it works for Burnham. And Burnham manages to break free. She does a somersault. She does a leaping kick and manages to make Ariam fall back into another section of the space station that just happens to be an airlock. How convenient. Shuts the door on Commander Arian, and then we go into the next section of the stupidly previously set up earlier in the episode bullshit, where Tilly is on the bridge and she's gonna save the day. She's like, Captain, let me talk to Ariam, because, if there's anyone on the ship that can get through to Ariam, it's me, because we have such a special bond. And she goes into talking to Ariam, and Ariam, of course, is like, oh, Tilly's talking to me. There's a little bit of me left. I could talk to you, Tilly. I hear you, Tilly, but I can't control myself. I'm trying to fight it, but I'm not strong enough to fight it. It wants to do this and it wants to do that, and blah blah blah. As it's spilling the beans and it's going to basically explain why Burnham is the link to all of this shit. And while Burnham is supposed to be jettisoning Ariam's begging for Burnham to jettison her because she can't hold out anymore. The captain is ordering Burnham to jettison her, but Burnham doesn't listen to orders. The admiral is fucking ordering her to jettison her, but it's Burnham. She doesn't listen to any orders. Saru, I think, even said something about her following through. But of course, she doesn't listen to orders. And as she's about to spill the beans, she gets jettisoned. And you're kind of like, wait, she was about to tell Burnham the whole answer to the universe, and that's when Burnham decides to flush her? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh no, it's Nod. Nod managed to get to her breathing device, crawled all the way across the space station, and managed to do the jettisoning that Burnham was not capable of doing. Oh, sad, sad day. And now we get to watch the reaction of everyone on the bridge crying for Commander Ariam, the character we are so deeply involved in, and the character we're so gonna miss because we knew her for all of 30 minutes. Really. Shallow, shallow payoff. And that's pretty much the long and the short of this video. I don't know where to begin here, guys. Last week, I actually liked Star Trek Discovery. I gave it for the first time a mark of 7 out of 10. But this week, it's like whenever Star Trek Discovery does something good, it takes 47 steps backwards. This was I don't know. For about the first 10 minutes of it, it was okay. Up until the point that, when we started off without a monologue, that was good. Admiral Piers, that was fine. Admiral questions Spock, okay, we're okay with that. Spock passes the questioning, we're okay with that. Burnham interjects because, we got to have the Burnham moment. Well, didn't appreciate that much, but, it's Star Trek Discovery. Burnham is everywhere, and you can't avoid her. Admiral debriefs the XO and CO. That was pretty good. Control reveal as the big bag boogeyman. Well, that was stupid, but okay, if that's the best these writers can come up with, I suppose. So up until this point, things really haven't gotten that bad. And then we get on the bridge and Tilly starts to ramble stupidly. That's when things really started to go downhill in this episode. From at about that point right there, so I don't know if that's 10, 15 minutes into the program, it was doing all right. It was watchable Star Trek Discovery. Was it as good as last week? No. Was it a huge drop off from last week? No. The first 15 minutes of this episode was, it was fine. That's a perfect word for it. It was fine. First 15 minutes was fine. And, it just went fucking way off the cliff and completely downhill afterwards. I forgot to even talk about the whole section where we had the Pike moment. Yeah, we need to talk about the Pike moment. So Pike has his moment with the Admiral where he's all high and mighty and upset that the Enterprise was set off on its 5-year mission during the middle of the Klingon War, and he has to have his moment with the Admiral and tell her what he thinks about that. like a spoiled little brat. He acts up and lips off. And the Admiral, the female Admiral, well, she gets to have her moment in the sun as she chews Captain Pike out in front of the entire bridge staff and informs the good captain that the reason the Enterprise was sent on its 5-year journey was because we needed the best of the best to survive if we lost the war. And that, Captain, is why you were sent, because you were the best. And the captain's like, okay. Thank you. I look stupid now. I'll go sit in my chair like the good little boy that I am. Yeah, we had to have that moment where we make Pike once again look stupid at the hands of a female. Because, we need to have the 5 minutes of the matriarchy putting the patriarchy in its place, because that's the world we live in now. Strong women are everywhere, and men just need to sit down, shut up, and take it. Oh my. So yeah, first 15 minutes, fine. The next 25 minutes go completely off the fucking rails and is some of the worst Star Trek Discovery to date. Spock, defamation of character. If Leonard Nimoy was alive, he should be filing a freaking lawsuit against these bastards for defamation of character for Spock. Terrible what they've done to Spock in this episode. Overall, this was a shit episode of Star Trek Discovery. First 15 minutes, I don't know, I give it maybe 6 out of 10. The last 25 minutes of it, I give a 2 out of 10. For a combined score of 3 out of 10. This episode, it finishes with 3 out of 10. We're back to shit Star Trek Discovery, folks. It didn't finish strong. It finished pretty crappy. I'm not happy about this episode of Star Trek Discovery. In fact, I'm feeling a little queasy. Did recently have dinner just before watching this, and now I'm not feeling so hot. That's what Star Trek Discovery has done to me this week. Anyway, I'm Jaames Johnson. This is my review. Please leave a like or dislike, because I know there's plenty of you out there that love Star Trek Discovery, and plenty of you that are gonna say I'm a hater, blah blah blah. Go ahead, sling it at me. I don't censor my comments. I'm not some leftist jerk off that's too insecure and can't take the heat. So if you want to call me a misogynist pig, go right ahead. The comment section is down below. But until next time, all, have a good day and peace.